Hi, I'm Richard Tubb, and we've got a listener question here. A question goes, I've been blogging for a few years now, and I'm starting to feel like I am just repeating myself. How do you keep yourself motivated, Richard, and what tactics am I potentially missing? It's a really good question. I've been blogging for 20 years now and been a content creator for most of that time, doing videos, blogs, podcasts, things of that nature. So if you're using content marketing within your business, and if you're not, you really should be, because things like videos, blogs, podcasts, super powerful for building up your reputation, letting people get to know and trust you, finding new clients. Wonderful way of doing it. But if you've been doing it and you're feeling like you're repeating yourself after creating content for a few months, years, it's really understandable. There are ways, however, to rekindle your motivation, find new perspectives for your content. Let me share a few of them that have worked for me. I think the first one would be, I want you to revisit the analytics. So creatives, we don't often look at the analytics, but if you go back and look at the blog posts which have performed well in the past, or the videos that have performed the best, this is going to help you identify popular topics or themes. You can then go back, expand upon those themes, or revisit them with a new angle. I've regularly written blog posts going back many years, and actually if I revisit them in the modern day, they can be tweaked, they can be updated, or indeed they can have a new theme. So I'd encourage you to the analytics. And something else that I'd encourage you to do as well is to experiment with new formats. So your question, you mentioned blogging, but perhaps blogs could be tried turning into videos. Perhaps you could get the blog and turn it into a podcast or an infographic. So a change in that format can lead to a fresh perspective, and it can potentially also lead to new audience engagement. Third one, diversify the topics that you cover in your content. So broaden the scope of your blog articles by covering maybe related topics that you haven't explored before, so something completely new. And this could include emerging trends in your field, or connecting your content to current events. They used to call this newsjacking, but keep an eye on what's going on in the news. Perhaps in IT circles, it could be around cybersecurity and things like that, and write content that is relevant to themes that are currently in trend, currently in the news. Another tip I'd throw out there, inviting other bloggers. You can invite guest bloggers. So collaborating with others can do a couple of things. It can bring fresh ideas and insights to your blog, but it can also reduce the need for you to come up with all of the content yourself. I also find on a personal level that when I get guest bloggers, collaborations of that nature, it inspires me. So it helps me to come up with new ideas and re-infuse myself. Another way of maybe putting the zest back into your content creation is by engaging your audience. So often as content creators, we will create content and never hear anything back. And you often think, is anybody out there reading my articles or watching my videos? So encourage your readers to submit questions or suggest topics. Can you see what I've done here with this video? Answering reader questions directly in your articles can be a great way to offer fresh perspectives on well-trodden topics. And you can repurpose them as videos. For instance, this video will be turned into an email, perhaps turned into a blog post as well. So there you go. Engaging your audience, asking them on what they want to hear about is fantastic. Another one that I would share with you, another idea for the long term, is to create a content calendar. If you plan your content in advance, it can help you think much more strategically about the themes and topics that you want to share in your content. It allows you to maintain that variety, allows you to be very relevant, planning it in advance rather than just sitting down to record a video and going, what is it I'm going to talk about? Or perhaps when you're going to write an article, you don't know. If you've got that content calendar, it gives you the ideas in advance. And at the risk of repeating myself, refreshing old content, really powerful. Go back, repurpose those older posts, update them with new info, examples, angles. You could create a best of compilation or themes of old blog posts and pull them together. Again, another really good way of going back and giving yourself a pat on the back of some of the content that you've already created, but also revisiting it and saying, how can I update it? And I guess my final tip here would be, look, If you're really struggling with producing the content at the moment, take a break. Sometimes a short break can really help you recharge your creative batteries. You can use the time to gather new experiences, insights, do some research that can help you come back to your content creation, your blogging, your videos, your podcasts with a new zest. So I've just come back at the time of recording this video. I've just taken a week's time away, a retreat at a log cabin up in rural Northumbria. I sat down, I read books, I did a little bit of writing, but I wasn't concentrating on creating content. I was giving my brain time to recover. So I hope all those tips help you with your blogging. But just remember this final quote. I'm going to hash this quote up, but I'm going to share it anyway. If you're worried about being repetitive in the content that you're putting out there, then a famous man once said, everything that can be said has been said, but luckily nobody was listening. So please don't worry about revisiting content, revisiting topics that other people maybe have already covered. It's your voice that people want to hear, not somebody else's. So don't be afraid to go and put your personality, put your voice behind any topic at all. Hope that helps. If you've got any further questions, please get in touch. I love answering these type of questions. Cheers.